Welcome to another week of Eye of the Storm, a Guelph Storm podcast with myself, Ryan Drury, the voice of your Guelph Storm on Rogers TV. Very pleased to be joined by another one of the newer faces in the Royal City, a very promising young defenseman who's already making his mark on the team, defender Eric Frossard. Eric, how are you?
I'm doing well. Just happy to be here. So thanks for having me on.
Well, Storm Nation's happy to have you here, man. Like I said, you've already been making an impact. You've been impressing a lot of people, including Mark and I up in the booth. And man, your defensive play's been really fun to watch. But before we dig into obviously your play and being part of this team, how are you enjoying Guelph so far? I know it was a big switch jumping up from the U.S. What are you liking about the Royal City and being a Guelph Storm?
The city's been really nice. A lot of really nice restaurants, and it's a really nice city. Being from London, I guess there are some similarities, but it's a really nice city, and I have nothing but good things to say about it.
Let's talk about that too. Obviously, I know you're a London boy, and I spent some time in London in school. Still have friends there. Great city, awesome city to hang out in, awesome city to be a hockey fan in. What do you remember best about being a little kid and growing up in London and first falling in love with the game?
Yeah, well, my family's always been a hockey family, and growing up as Habs fans, and obviously growing up as Knights fans as well. I guess going to a lot of London night games are always really cool, and then we always had a backyard rink. So as a young kid, I was always trying to, get out and play with my family, my dad, my sister, and my mom. So it was just a really good time.
In terms of when you were a kid out there and playing on the backdoor rink, I mean, I think that's a common memory for a lot of kids when they're young. I loved doing it too. Who are some people when you were young, just starting out on your hockey journey, that kind of inspired you?
I think, well, the biggest one would just be my dad. He just not just in hockey, but in everything that I do in life. And my mom, I think, those are the two biggest influences on me. Just instilling good values, and I think that's what I guess everything I've learned from them, other than maybe school stuff. All the values that I have now have come from them. I appreciate all the sacrifices that they, I guess, gave for me to play hockey, and I really appreciate it. And really, I guess my mom and dad, that would be the two biggest role models.
That's a good answer. Mom and dad will be happy with that when they
That's
watch
right.
this.
Yeah,
Yes, that's
that's right.
that's good. I like that. Obviously you touched on it a little bit, having the Knights around obviously would have been a really cool experience, especially for a young kid playing and all those great teams and players that you would have got to watch in your formative years. But what about it? And we've talked a little bit about this with your new captain, Jet Luchenko, who's of course a London boy too. What's special about the city just in general? It's obviously a great hockey market, but what do you love about London, the Forest City? It's a great spot.
I think, well, for me, I love hockey, and it seems like everyone there loves hockey. It just hockey's a big part of the town. So for me, I guess that's perfect for me. I love being a part of a hockey city. Kind of, it's a smaller city, I guess, compared to Toronto or something, but it's got that feel where everyone is talking about hockey all the time, and that was just really cool.
The Knights, obviously, big part of it. Who are some guys you remember watching growing up that you maybe dreamed someday of taking the ice with? Who are some Knights that really stick out in your mind that are big favorites for you?
Well, there have been a lot of great players coming out of that organization. So I got to watch a lot of really good players, but remember obviously watching Marner, and then more recently Cowan. So it was pretty cool to play against him. He's a really good player. But there's been so many great players. It's hard to name just a few that I got to watch, and it would be an honor to play against someday.
Yeah, a lot of good guys have come through there. Tavares, Rick Nash, John Carlson, Patrick Kane. I mean, they run down the list. They've had a lot of good ones. And you mentioned obviously being able to take the ice with a guy like Easton Cowan and now live out your OHL dreams. Obviously, we want to start with your minor hockey journey before we talk about kind of getting into the Ontario Hockey League, which was an option that was opened up to you, obviously, with the NCAA rule changes. But I know that you came up through London minor hockey. You were a London junior knight as well. Those, I'm sure, are very special memories to you, too.
Yeah, it was great just sticking with that one group. There were a lot of really good guys on that team, and a few of them are playing the OHL right now. But I mean, the memories that I have, lots of tournaments, lots of fun games, fun tournaments. Just it was a great, I guess, uh, just a great like there are a lot of great memories for me growing up in London and with the team that I kind of just went up with the same guys as I got older. I made a lot of really good friends, and yeah, there's nothing but good things to say about the junior knights as well.
They've cranked a lot of good players out of there, man. The Suzuki brothers. I mean, Jet. Yeah, yourself now. It's a really big minor hockey program. I don't know that a lot of people realize how good the minor hockey is there. The Knights get a lot of attention, but the junior Knights, critical part of it too. Eric, you're a big kid. Like you're listed at 6'4". That might even be a little short. I mean, you look like a monster out there, and you've still got size to fill into, which is going to be scary for your future opponents. I mean, you're already big enough, I think some of them think. Was that always the case? Like, were you always the really big kid, or did you hit like a midlife growth spurt? Like, what happened? Because you got some tools out there, man.
Yeah, well, my family is pretty tall. My dad's pretty tall, so I guess growing up, I've always been taller. I guess I've just consistently been growing a lot ever since I was a little kid. So I never had a massive growth spurt, but I've just always been growing a lot, I guess.
So you were probably a bit of a nightmare for mom and dad. Like you needed a lot of new clothes, a lot of new shoes, equipment. What
That's
size are your skates?
size 10, so they're actually not too big. My shoe size
Okay.
is 12, so it's reasonable. It's nothing crazy, but
Yeah, we're not wearing clown shoes or anything here. That's all right. I was wondering because you're stretching out. If you grow any more, you're gonna be up in like Shaq territory here. Like that's gonna be scary for people, man. When you were a kid and you're playing, obviously you're playing in the best junior league in the world. You were in a very premier league down in the USHL, which I want to touch on too. But like, it takes a certain skill set to be able to do that, Eric. Like, when did you maybe start to realize in your minor hockey career that you were maybe starting to advance a little more than maybe some of your peers, kids you played against? Like, when did it start to click for you? Like, hey, junior hockey at a high level might be a real possibility for me.
Uh, I don't know if there was any specific time. I think for me, I was more focused on just trying to get better every day, and I wasn't too focused on what could happen or might happen in the future. I think last year was a really cool experience, just meeting different people and maybe seeing that maybe other people believed in me, and that was pretty cool. But I never was really too focused on the future. I was more focused on doing well in school and just trying to improve my game any way that I could. And so far it's worked out, and that's what I'm still trying to do and still trying to get better. I have a lot of things to improve. So, yeah.
I like that answer too, man. You got a good head on your shoulder. Your head's higher than mine, and you got a good one on your shoulders. There you go. I like that. That's a good answer. Let's talk about the USHL. Obviously, you joined the Storm from the Youngstown Phantoms, a really well respected program down there. And like I said, obviously, the NCAA ruling, it's changed a lot for players yourself. Lev Katzen, your teammate up here, like there are a lot of guys where doors that weren't open before are now available to you. Tell us first, before coming up to Guelph and what influenced that decision, about your experience down there in the USHL. A lot of people up here aren't familiar with it, don't really watch it. We don't have it on TV. What's the league like?
Oh, well, the leagues, it's a high level. I think it's a bit more defensively and structured than the OHL, but it's physical and a lot of really good players down there. And in Youngstown, I mean, that's a really, really good organization, and they treated me very well. And I want to thank them for everything that they did to help me. And yeah, I had a great experience down there, a good group of guys, and I'm hoping that they do well this playoffs.
They're going to be missing you back there, that's for sure. I want to ask you a little bit about the decision. Obviously, like I said, the doors open up with the NCAA ruling. What ultimately made you decide, hey, I think that a move to Guelph in the Ontario Hockey League would be a good option for me at this point?
Yeah, well, it was a tough decision just because of how well that Youngstown had treated me and the group of guys there. It's obviously tough to leave a team midway through the year, and I didn't really like doing that. But I thought for my development, it was best to come to Guelph. So I guess that was really the reason why. But I have nothing but good things to say about Youngstown. They're a great organization and great people there.
Obviously, I know that like obviously education's important to you and your family, and that's why originally when that door wasn't open, you went that route because of course you are a Notre Dame commit. Tough loss for them in the football championship. I was rooting for
Yeah,
the
that's
Irish.
too bad.
Maybe someday you're going to bring them a hockey championship. But obviously that was the route that was available to you and that you had to take. But going back where the option was first presented to you to be an OHLer was obviously draft day. And I know that things worked out a little different at the start and people are very excited to have you here now. But that was probably a really cool moment for you, growing up in an OHL market like London and hearing your name called and getting a call from George Burnett. What was that day like, knowing, hey, I've been drafted to the OHL?
Yeah, that was a really cool moment. It's something that as a kid you always it was kind of in the back of your mind and something that you would maybe you're striving to achieve. And it was a really cool day and a cool moment for me and my family.
So I know that you had mentioned at the top of this, obviously you grew up a Knights fan, but you mentioned your family are Habs fans. How does that happen? Walk me through this.
Oh, well, my dad and he's from Montreal, so it's hard to
Ah,
be come from Montreal and not be a Habs
no
fan. So
explanation needed.
that's right. Pretty simple.
I would think that you've taken in a lot of Montreal games. They're on the up and up. They got an exciting young team. Who
They do.
sticks out for you when you were a kid? Maybe not even necessarily with Montreal. Like who are some guys that you watched in the NHL that you thought, man, I'd love to be able to play like that guy?
Oh, well, that's a good question. I think when I was a lot younger, and Gallagher's still on the team, but I love to watch Gallagher. He worked really hard and he's a smaller guy, but he competed and he's a really skilled player. So I always loved watching him as a kid. But now I watch more, I guess, defensemen. I like to watch Heiskanen. Obviously, there's the Makars and Hughes, and they're unbelievable players as well. But yeah, and then Weber when he was on the Habs, I really liked his game. Really solid two-way player. So yeah, there are a lot of good players.
Yeah, I like that you brought up Heiskanen because he's a guy that like kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit. I don't think that people often bring him up, but I think he might be one of the best players in the league, period, let alone defenseman. He does so much out there. And I like Weber too, because you're gonna have a similar build to him someday. You're already 6'4", and Shea was mean. He was mean to play
He was,
against. Like,
yeah.
did you take a bit of inspiration from that? Like when you go into a corner with a guy, do you think, geez, what would Shea Weber do here?
Yeah, well, I think that's something I have to work on. Maybe getting a bit meaner in the corners. But yeah, he was definitely tough to play against, and that's one of the things that made him so good. So yeah,
I think what we need to do, we just because you're such a happy-go-lucky kid, someone needs to make you mad before games, and
that's right.
then you'll go to the corner and really start scaring people. You're already doing it with your size. If you were a scout, if you could put your scouting cap on, break your game down for us. Like Storm fans, they were excited to hear about your pedigree, and I remember talking to some scouts in the scouting room and saying, "Boy, what a big get for Guelph!" Because if the NCAA route, which was originally, kind of closed off, hadn't been there, a lot of people said you would have been a first round pick. So break your game down for us for people that aren't familiar. Describe yourself as a player.
Yeah, well, I'm big, and I'm a good skater. I like to use my skating to my advantage. I play maybe not an overly physical defensive game, but I play with a good stick and use my skating defensively, and then offensively, I like to make plays, make a good first pass, get up in the play, and then just try to create plays to help our team score some goals. But I guess I would describe myself as a two-way defenseman who can skate and is a big two-way defenseman, I guess, who can skate. The simplest.
That's all that you need to say, really. I mean, that kind of sums it all up. And I'm glad you brought your stick up because I like asking guys when they come on here about their equipment. Guys can be real particular. Before I ask you kind of what tools of the trade you're using out there, are you real superstitious with your equipment? Some guys are, some guys aren't. Maybe that's more of a goalie thing. I don't know. But like, are you you got to tape it a certain way? Like, what's your routine like in the dressing room?
Yeah, I don't really have any superstitions. I like to obviously warm up and take care of my body, but other than that, I'm not too particular about any equipment. To be honest, in my tape job, I'll change it up. So I still trying to find what is my favorite, I guess. But yeah, don't really have any superstitions.
That's probably a good thing.
Yes.
In terms of your stick and your skates, what are we rocking with?
I have the Bauer Hyperlight skates, and then for my stick, it's a Tracer, Bauer Tracer. So, yeah, that's I guess that's my stick and skates, and the other equipment it just varies. I kind of growing up with different things here and there, just trying them out. So, yeah,
Well, you had to buy a bunch of different ones because you kept
that's it.
growing so much. I wonder about your flex and your curve. Like, is that something that you've really honed in on the last couple years? What kind of setup do you like there?
Yeah, my flex is an 87 flex, which has been going up, I guess, as I've gotten older. And then the curve I recently changed to P92. Growing up, I used a P28, but I found that it's too much of a toe curve for like a defenseman. I didn't think I really needed that. So I changed to P92. I've liked that more. So yeah.
The 92, yeah, it's real popular with defensemen nowadays. It might be the most popular defenseman curve right now. Everybody's using that. I want to ask you too. You'd mentioned obviously Guelph's got a lot of good restaurants. Do you have like a favorite pregame meal? Is there a pregame meal that's like that's the one I gotta have?
Well, my favorite, I guess, meal at any restaurant would be the Keg. I really like their salmon. I'm a big salmon guy for pregame. So yeah, the Keg salmon is excellent. Probably the best I've ever had. So that's my favorite.
There we go. I like that. I like how specific that was. Not just salmon, the Keg salmon. All
That's
right.
right. Yeah.
I like that. That's really that's great. Hey, I'll say this, man. They got great salmon there. The Keg knows what they're doing over there, man. That's great. Obviously you come up here, and you join a group of guys and you're a new face for a little bit and you start getting used to it. What's it been like coming up here and being able to kind of bond with this team? It's a young team. As a matter of fact, you guys are the youngest team in the entire Ontario Hockey League right now. That's got to be pretty exciting to be part of a core that's going to come and kind of carry this team forward. What's the experience been like for you?
Yeah, well, it's a great group of guys. It was a pretty easy transition for me, and it's been really good. It's a young team, as you said, and being a young guy myself, it's been a really easy transition. I'm excited for the future.
So I want to ask you too, just a little bit about, the dressing room. Like a lot of guys in there, I've had this discussion since the podcast started, and there's been a long-standing debate. And the guy at the center of this debate's actually back on your team, Ryan McGuire. I don't know how big of a shell player you are. If you grew up playing NHL, I'm sure you probably did, like me and all my friends. There's a raging debate. Ryan claims that he's the best NHL player. Are you good at the game, and have you played any of the other guys on the team yet, and how do you think you do?
Well, to be honest, growing up, I did play NHL a bit, but I didn't play too much. So
Okay.
I'm not very confident in my ability. So I'll give it to him. He's definitely probably better than me. I haven't played anyone yet, and if I did, it probably wouldn't go very well. But
I like the honesty because guys come on here and think that they're really good, and I'm kind of like, oh, I'd love to put that to the test. I like the blatant honesty. I'm not very
yeah,
good. Miggsy's probably better. Okay, we're gonna put this
yeah,
to the test. But we got to have like a team tournament or something, and I would like to participate because like I've said to everybody, I think I could crush all of you. Um, that's just me. That's just me. I'm a broadcaster. I'm not good at real hockey. I got to be good at something, Eric. Like you guys got to give me one, okay? Um, road trips obviously a big part of hockey at any level, but particularly the OHL. What's your routine on the bus? Like I hear there's this euchre league that's going on the bus. Are you a big cards guy? Do you like to kind of keep to yourself, listen to music? What's the bus routine?
yeah. Normally, I keep to myself. I have school to do most of the time, so I'm
That's
doing
true.
school. Um, but yeah, most of the time I'm doing school before games or just on trips. And if not, I'm sleeping if it's we're coming home. So yeah, I'm not normally playing cards, but I'm sure I'll play a bit as the year goes on here.
Obviously taking school and doing a lot of it online, obviously that's a unique experience in terms of school. I was in high school not too long ago. What's your favorite class? Do you have a favorite subject that you like?
Yeah, I really like history and business. Those are my two favorite courses. Yeah, I've been doing American history right now, so that's been really interesting.
My guy, there you go. I took every history class that was allowed to be taken in high school. I think in grade 12 they told me to stop. It's a great class, man. You gotta learn. That's important stuff. Now, I'm hoping that you can give me a different answer than the other guys here, okay? I know that the room is a big country room in terms of the music in general. I know the pump up music's different. You guys got the raps, a little bit of Drake, everything going on. Are you a big country guy? Like, do you fit right in with the crowd, or do you prefer to listen to something else to get fired up?
Yeah, I honestly I'm not too particular with my music. I'm not a big rap fan, but I don't mind country. I like different songs, but yeah, I like some rock too. Mix it up a bit, but I'm not a big rap fan.
Okay, there you go. I can go down the rock road with you. Like, what are we throwing on to get fired up? Throw some artists out that you like to listen to get revved up here. I
Oh,
like I like
that's
this.
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I maybe I don't know, like uh maybe some AC/DC. They have some good songs. That's probably the biggest one, but yeah, I don't know. In the dressing room, we don't normally listen to rock. It's
I
mostly rap, so
know. I
that's the thing.
know.
I'm not really used to the the rock in the dressing room, but
I
if
know
I had
you
to pick,
guys.
that'd probably be what it would be.
I like that. AC/DC's going on tour this year. You could and you could probably muscle your way right to the front. You'd be taller than everybody.
That's
I think you're
right.
taller than everybody in the band. For God, they might ask you to drum. Um, yeah, that's a classic, and of course, "The Storm of You Thunderstruck" is the pump up song for
Yeah.
years and years. This I like. If guys have one top of mind, maybe it's an AC/DC song. If the team let you pick a goal song, does one spring to mind? Because now I'm just running through all the AC/DC songs that could be.
I don't know. When I was younger, I liked TNT. I actually I knew the lyrics pretty well when I was younger. I don't know if I know them as well now, but I guess that's the first one that comes to mind.
That's a great one. TNT. I think that the Sleeman Center would get bumping when you scored in the "See Me Ride Out After Sunset." See you later.
Yeah.
TNT's a great goal song, man. That's a good shout. I like that. Um, You know, Eric, obviously you've come up here, you've made a big impact, and you're just a kid, you're continuing to grow. And a big part of that obviously is connecting with your coaching staff. What's it been like for you as a young defenseman to come in here and be able to work with guys like Scott Simmons, Rob Davison, and Corey Stillman, guys who have loads of hockey experience at the pro level. Scott played overseas. Rob and Corey obviously played in the NHL. Corey has 2 Stanley Cup rings. That's got to be pretty valuable to you. What's that been like for you to kind of, be a sponge and take in all the information that those guys have?
Yeah, well, it's been really good so far. I've learned a lot of little details that coming into, I guess, this year that I didn't really know. Just I hadn't been taught a lot of those little details of the game, and I mean they've been really helpful so far, and I can't wait to keep working with them.
Good stuff, man. Well, hey, Storm Nation's excited to keep on watching you out there. You've been really impressive so far. We can't wait to see what's next. Thanks so much for doing this, man. I'm glad that you're enjoying the Royal City because I can tell you the fans are certainly enjoying you.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me on, and I can't wait to keep helping this team, and I'm excited for the future here.
Good stuff, man. Well said. All right. Remember, everybody, you can find this podcast on the Storm website and, of course, on YouTube and all your favorite podcast apps. And if you want to come down and watch Eric Frossard and the Guelph Storm, and you should, go to the Storm website or the Sleeman Center box office to get your tickets. We'll be back next week with more Eye of the Storm.